arranged all this just to have a moment alone with you.
Hi everyone, this is Maslow coming to you from the highest possible vantage point. So I decided to show my face in this video. I've got a new camera now, so I can actually talk to you guys face to face. And I'm continuing my series on social conditioning. And I don't know how many videos I'm going to make on this topic, but I'm thinking I'm going to make several videos on it. And I thought I would start with the basics before I get into, modern dynamics and the present day. I want to get down to really the essentials. Before human beings were ever socially conditioned, what we did is we actually modeled our behavior off of nature. When we were small hunter and gatherer societies, what we had to do to survive was to actually view the external world and figure out how it worked, not how we wanted it to work or how ideally it should work, but really the actual rules and laws of the physical world. We needed to know that to hunt, to gather food, to not poison ourselves. We needed to know these simple processes which were modeled off of nature originally. So this would be before modern society. And actually, this state is ideal. It's sad we can't really go back to it now. I think we're too far advanced for that, but it would be ideal to simply view nature objectively as kind of a game or a set of rules that need to be followed in order for the outcome to be positive. This is actually the most effective way of adapting yourself to an ever-changing environment like we have here on Earth. It's so hard to achieve. Like, if I could give you an example, children learn so fast, and it's because they have a kind of nations to them, or just kind of they're like a blank slate, so they just absorb everything that's external to them, and they have to learn these physical laws to be able to walk around or to communicate with someone. And as we get older, it doesn't really work like that anymore. So those kind of influences are nowadays limited to your first several years of childhood. After that, it's mostly your environment that's doing the social conditioning. And by environment, I mean social environment, not natural environment. After these critical years is when the other types of social conditioning start to kick in. Two of the main external ones would be family and your close social circles. So that'd be close friends, family friends, other relatives, that kind of thing. The immediate people that you're in contact with on a day-to-day basis while you're growing up, or maybe even past adulthood if you don't travel outside your city. Now, in this video, I'm not going to go too in-depth into the family aspect of it because that's complicated and that's just not a video I want to do right now. What I will talk about is what I'll call, let's call it your immediate social circle. So your immediate social circle would be friends, family friends, maybe distant relatives, cousins, that kind of thing. These people immediately start shaping how you think. Take, for example, I think this is a great example, athletics. So someone growing up here in North America, say since a very young age they've been throwing that pigskin, they've been playing football, and that's their definition of athletics and fitness and physical activity and sport, is football. And somebody maybe in the Far East has some type of yoga or gymnastics or something like that that requires a lot of flexibility and a lot of balance. these people may both think that they have a solid definition of sport and physical activity and fitness, but it may be so narrow. Like, if someone from the Far East were to come to the West and try and play football, but against a bunch of gigantic men who are 2 times, 3 times his size, he's probably not going to do very well. That doesn't mean he's not a good athlete in a certain sense. Doesn't mean he doesn't know what physical fitness is or sport or training. He has some knowledge of the concepts maybe, but the quintessential idea is so general and so broad, and from such an early age it just starts to become narrowed. And you do see this kind of thing amongst families, especially religious families who are very religious. Their whole thinking is, you can see that it's been modeled by their parents and the grandparents before them, and it's very narrow. Especially living here in Canada, there's a lot of people who live and grow up basically in the country or in small towns with 3,500 people. So when they have their sets of beliefs that have been ingrained in them and they've been conditioned so heavily, when they get into the city, it's like 2 totally different worlds. Like, it's very difficult for them to adjust sometimes, and it's sometimes other people who have spent their lives in the city see someone like that and might think something of them, like, oh, they're totally backwards or something like that. But, well, no, not really. It's just you've both been socially conditioned so heavily, and it's just gone in 2 different directions. These kinds of things, it's very difficult to be self-reflective of them because they're so primal, they're primary and just essential. But as a first step, just take a look at yourself, who your family is, and what city you live in, what the general vibe of the city is, and then kind of relate that back to yourself. Like, how do I fit into this? How do I resemble my family, my friends, and my country as a whole? That's a good starting point. And I'm about out of time here, so I will see you guys another time.